Honestly, whoever's doing the music today, that is a perfect song for this story as we welcome you back. Spot on, as Nate says, to CBS Mornings. Who are you? Who? We are getting a revealing new look at Congressman George Santos, who lied about much of his life story before his successful election in the House in November. He's also accused of fraud, as well as making up a story about his mother's 9/11 experience. Republican leaders on Capitol Hill are still standing behind Mr. Santos, while Democrats and GOP officials in his home districts are saying he's got to go. They're demanding his resignation. Now, a former friend and a roommate who knew Santos under another name is telling his story to CBS. Caitlin Huey-Burns has been all over this case. She's got the new details. Caitlin, good morning to you. I'm afraid to ask, what do we know?
Good morning, Gayle. Well, more is coming out by the day, and we spoke to the roommate. His name is Gregory Morey. He says he lived with Santos back in early 2010s, and he said he initially bonded with him, but then quickly discovered there was much more to his story.
George Santos is whoever you want him to be, at whatever time you want him to be. Just that simple. I called him the Anna Delvey of Queens.
Gregory Morey says he first met the future New York congressman nearly a decade ago.
He never went by George, never went by Santos. I knew him as, Anthony DeVolder from Jackson Heights, Queens.
Morey befriended the outgoing young man, even moving in with him for a few months in New York City.
He was a very interesting person. We hit it off right away.
He says Santos told him he had his sights set on Congress.
He told me once that if I can get elected to Congress for just one term, I will be set with a pension and health care for the rest of my life.
And when he heard his former roommate actually achieved that goal, he was stunned.
And I was like, you gotta be, no, this can't be. No, George Sant, no. That just, it blew my brain. It's like that emoji on your iPhone, like the
Santos's family friend, who says she lived with him sporadically in Brazil and in the U.S., claimed Santos stole from her. She told CBS News from her home in Brazil that she no longer recognizes the boy she once knew. She says Santos has become someone who will do anything to stay in power. And Santos shows no signs of stepping down.
Look, I've worked my entire life. I've lived an honest life. I've never been accused, sued of any bad doings.
This week, he secured spots on 2 committees and has the backing of House GOP leadership. Meanwhile, extraordinary stories about Santos continue to surface.
I knew I was being scammed.
Disabled veteran Rich Osthoff says in 2016, Santos helped him raise $3,000 for his sick service dog through Santos's pet charity. But Osthoff says he never got the money from Santos, with whom he says he allegedly exchanged these text messages. His dog died 6 months later.
It diminished my faith in humanity.
And there's this apparent falsehood on his campaign website. Santos claimed his mother was working in the World Trade Center on 9/11. Yet a federal source told CBS News her immigration documents show she was in Brazil at the time of the attack. Noah Bookbinder is the president of Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington.
In any other profession, can you imagine someone like George Santos being allowed to keep his job?
Absolutely not. For a whole lot less dishonesty, they would be driven out of their positions, and nobody would feel bad about that.
Now, Santos has denied these allegations made by that veteran regarding the pet scam, but he hasn't yet responded to these claims about his mother being in the towers at 9/11. And guys, he's been actually pretty difficult to track. We called he has no public events, and we actually called his district office yesterday, and we were forwarded to that of a neighboring freshman congressman. Tony?
That is remarkable, as is so much else in that report. Caitlin, thank you very much.
It is all over this story.
Yeah.
I mean, but the more you hear, guys, the more jaw-dropping it becomes.
Yeah.
And I love the Republican supporters who are standing by him saying, well, the people elected him. It's up for the people to decide. But they elected him not knowing this information.
Yeah.
That's what makes the difference here.
On false pretenses.
Yeah.
Yes.
Politicians always, provide certain facts about their background for a certain image. But this is making up things whole cloth. I mean, the list of whoppers is very long. I will say there's one bit of good news I looked up. A one-term member of Congress is not actually going to get a pension for life. That is not going to happen. He would have to be reelected twice. 6 years is the basic. So let's see if he gets reelected. I mean, it's not out of the question.
No, there's another story that he was wearing a Burberry scarf that he had taken from a roommate at the Stop the Steal rally. The more you hear, the worse it gets. And I'm surprised that he has any supporters because he's behaving in ways we all teach our children not to do.
I know, the 9/11 stuff, you know, saying your mom died on 9/11.
Trying to benefit off of tragedy.
That's trading on tragedy, yeah. People don't take that pretty seriously around here.
More